Yes, all right. About to have him join in. Funny. All right. Hi, Dr. Webb. Thank you for joining us.
All right, thank you for having me. You got your hands full.
Yes, yes, I do. He was asleep, but he just woke up.
All right, no worries.
How are you doing?
Good, just busy. Sorry, I'm a couple minutes late. 30 minutes late. 40 minutes late.
I'm about to say 40 minutes late, but it's cool. It's cool. It's all
Yeah.
good. But let's just go right in. Thank you for joining us anyway. Thanks for being on In the Know with Pat Bobino.
Mhm.
And I wanted to know, or at least tell our audience, what is the work that you are doing?
Yeah, so I'm an orthopedic spine surgeon, so I take care of patients with musculoskeletal problems, joint problems, and as well as spine. Spine is my main specialty. So patients with neck and back pain, mostly.
Gotcha. Oh, and what made you want to go into that field?
I've always liked working with my hands, so I love the reconstructive part of it, putting things back together, or kind of being presented with a problem and being able to kind of fix that problem. Um, it's a really gratifying field to be able to help patients when they're some of the lowest points of their life.
Wow. So for an orthopedic spine surgeon, what does that mean? What do you do exactly?
Yeah, so a patient who has just like you get arthritis in your hip or your knee, you can get it in your back also. So a patient who has either back pain from that or from a disc herniation in their lower back or their neck, with maybe some spinal cord compression, something that's pressing on the spinal cord. I treat patients like that either without surgery, usually with like physical therapy or some medications, injections, or the patients who need surgery, the more pressing type patients and conditions, I take them to surgery to decompress their spine and sometimes fuse their spine with screws, hardware. We use a lot of cool technology like robots in surgery and computer navigation. It's a lot of cool new things that are kind of on the horizon, especially for spine surgery.
Awesome. So I know that you wrote your book, Overcoming the Odds. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I wrote it about my childhood, kind of growing up in Shreveport, Louisiana, which grew up a pretty challenging background with several family members who went to prison, in and out of the prison system, including my little sister, my little brother, and my mom. She was actually shot and she's paralyzed from her waist down due to her drug addiction. So, just growing up in that type of environment and then becoming a physician, especially a surgeon, in a very kind of where the percentage of physicians less than 1.5% are African American, especially in orthopedics, and even less than that for spine surgery. I just wanted to kind of detail and chronicle my path to, this journey has not been easy, and I want a kid to be able to pick up that book and be like, wow, he did that. I want to do that also.
Well, with what's going on in the world today with our inauguration and Kamala Harris breaking barriers,
Yep.
I think that you're on the right path of sharing with our youth that there are barriers that you can break and get to the point to where you want to be and do the things that you want to be. So that is amazing.
Yep. Yeah, thank you.
So growing up in Louisiana, from my understanding, the next phase of your life was going into the military.
Yeah, so I joined the Air Force at age 17. Ended up doing 8 years in the Air Force. I went to Iraq in 2005, right outside of Baghdad, which was a pretty dangerous location at that time. And
Mm-hmm.
finished my military time and applied to medical school. It took me 3 years to get in. Got hundreds of rejections from pretty much every medical school I applied to, and then kept at it until I finally was able to get in, and as 15 years later, I finally finished all my training.
Woo, 15 years to be a
Yeah.
surgeon.
Yep.
That's how long it takes, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. So after your military career, you went to apply for medical school for 3 years. What was your MCAT score, if you don't mind me asking?
So I was on the older MCAT score system, but I was never the good standardized test taker. I think my highest score was maybe 21 or so, 22.
Mm,
But that was man, that was like 13 years ago.
right. I
Yeah,
think
well,
would that
actually,
be the equivalent, like 500 and some, like maybe 505, 510?
yeah, I'm
I
not
don't
sure what it'd be equivalent to. Yeah, but yeah, the
know.
older system.
So what medical school did you end up going to?
I went to Georgetown.
Okay. Oh, that's
Yeah,
great. Congratulations.
thank you.
Let me just say, my son, he's 2 months, and today was also his shots. He got his first set of
Oh,
shots.
okay.
Like he's more fussy than usual.
Yeah, congratulations. I
Thank
have a
you.
how old is my son now? He's 18 months.
Hmm.
Yeah. My,
Congratulations.
my youngest one. I have a my oldest one is about to be 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Congratulations.
thank-
Yeah. So you know the struggle of the shots, the
oh
first
yeah. Yep. I know all
that,
about
that
that. Yep.
yeah. My partner says I cried, but I didn't cry. I mean, I just held
Just
my child. I didn't cry actually. But
just a little teary eyed.
no, no, 'cause I'm too much of a G for that. No, no
Yeah.
teary action. But
Yeah.
so with going to school, and I follow you on Instagram. So
Mhm.
I've seen some of the things you've done over the last few years when it comes to your book and
Yep.
your travel and your residency. So can you speak a little bit about the residency and then maybe perhaps how it relates to your book?
Yeah. So residency, I did a 5-year surgery residency here in San Antonio, Texas, actually. Pretty busy, lots of trauma, which means patients who car accidents, gunshot wounds, fallen from a roof. I had one patient who was in a airplane crash who came in with both of his legs broken and had to take care of him. So seeing a lot of high velocity and high energy trauma, which lots of other rotations that we spend time with the Spurs doctors here, and doing surgeries with them was pretty cool. And so really good training. It's 5 years long and lots of hours. At times working 80 to 100 hours per week, but that's the life of a surgery resident. And then I did additional year of training in spine surgery in Dallas, Texas. And that was specifically for the spine. So
Okay. So where are you located now?
I'm in private practice here in San Antonio, Texas. What about
Okay.
yourself?
Well, I am in the Bay Area in California.
I saw the Raiders Cup.
I have to represent. But I used to live in Dallas,
Okay.
so very familiar with Dallas and the area. Obviously, probably not familiar with any of the spinal surgeons, but being in that Dallas area, I love Dallas. I'm trying to convince my partner to move there.
Yeah, that was a great city. Probably the, you can't beat the weather probably where you're at though. The weather's probably a little
And that's the number one reason why he won't go, because of the weather. But
yeah.
like, Dallas isn't so bad. I mean, of course it gets hot, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, not too bad.
That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
But with the doing the residency, and you said you did like 80 to 100 hours, how does that work with at home life, especially with a family?
Yeah, I mean it's hard. I mean you have to find that work-life balance people talk about, but a lot of times I spent more time with my co-residents and the other physicians that I worked with more than I did with my family. It's just one of the things, sacrifices you have to make as a physician. Like I left my house this morning at 4:40 or 4:45, and I'll probably get home 10 o'clock p.m. So I won't be able to see my son, my kids today, or I barely see my wife, and but just a sacrifice you have to make, and I have to do it all over again tomorrow.
Well, now that you're in private practice, I'm sure you have to put in more hours because it's a private practice, but then do you also get to designate what hours those are?
Yeah, somewhat. So I make my own schedule, and you know, if I wanted to take off a day, we just came from skiing this past weekend, so I took it off a few days ago. My wife she's been bugging me to go, so I finally took off a few days and went out there. But yeah, absolutely, make my own schedule, and but you do have to hustle though.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's being the life of physician. I was going to ask, like, you had stated I don't know what the number is, you stated it earlier, the number of African American physicians. So how is that, how's it being in such a lower number as a physician?
Yeah, it definitely you know, people talk about imposter syndrome. You definitely, a lot of people definitely experience that, you know, kind of just being in this you know, prestigious, very prestigious specialty. But you know, hopefully I can be a face of kind of, and let young kids from similar communities as mine, let them know that, hey, you know, if he did it, I can do it also. But yeah, it's sometimes a little overwhelming being the only skin color in a certain kind of room, or a big auditorium, or a big, you know, in a hospital. But yeah, it's something I enjoy doing, and hopefully I can increase those percentages and kind of encourage more kind of African Americans, especially males, to go into the field of medicine, specifically orthopedics.
Well, bless you, because I know 15-year run to get to that point is a long run, but if it's something that you're determined to do, then I think that is an amazing thing that you have accomplished.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. What would you say to someone who maybe is going to medical school later in life? Like they're not going to follow the traditional trail of undergrad and then med school, but maybe they go later and they're untraditional.
Well, I always tell students, I have probably around 25 students that I mentor kind of on a monthly or so basis, but one of them she's 50 and she wants to go to med school. She's still doing her prereqs, but I always tell students that you know, you're going to be in this profession for 30, 40 years. You know, I just left the meeting just now with a couple of my partners. They are 65, 70 years old. They're still operating, seeing patients in office. You know, they love what they do. That's why I chose orthopedics. But you know, even if you start at age, let's say 50, you know, you can get a good 20 years of working. You know, that's a whole other career. So I wouldn't let age kind of deter anyone from going into the field of medicine. You know, I started at age 28, I believe, in med school. The average of my class, medical school class, was probably around 28 or so, 29.
Oh,
The
wow.
oldest in my class was 44, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I know that I've read things on untraditional students, and the news like to highlight especially the older generation who are deciding to go back to medical school. But I know that it is a spectrum of people
Hmm.
who might go,
Yeah.
and and then I've read that sometimes it's better, not better, but sometimes it's um, a different perspective if you kind of lived your life a little bit before
Hmm.
you med school, and you have like a better bedside manner with your patient.
Yeah, and a lot of schools like the non-traditional students, students who have a kind of real world experience. I do admit though that when I was first starting in med school, and you know, as a resident, I could stay up all night and operate, and you know, I can definitely tell I'm getting a little older now. You know, getting a call at 2 o'clock in the mornings, it gets a lot harder as you get older though.
Oh, I believe it. I mean, not to say my age, but I am knocking on 40's door.
Mhm.
And, this is my first child as 2 month old. And
Oh
them late
yeah.
night, waking up in the middle of the night, that's a young person game.
Yep. Yeah, I was, you know, telling a couple of people that when my son was pretty young, you know, waking up every 2 hours, it reminded me when I was doing a lot of trauma call and being called in the middle of the night. Um, you know, some nights getting 1 hour of sleep or 45 minutes, that's just having a little one, it's just like that.
I believe it, and it's tough. I talked about not crying when he got his shots, which I didn't, but I did cry in the middle of the night a couple of nights when like a full week has gone by with no sleep.
Mhm.
Day.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's so good.
it'll definitely hit you. Better days are coming. My son sleeps about 12, 13 hours a night now. He'll occasionally wake up in the middle of the night, but yeah, he sleeps like a
Well,
champ.
I'm excited. I am excited for that to happen.
Yeah.
I actually have a stepdaughter who is pregnant, so I will be a grandmother next
Oh,
month
awesome.
too, at the same time as being a mom.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting, but I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I know that you had a meeting earlier, so can you like share with us what a typical day might be for you?
Yeah. So I don't think there's anything typical kind of about what I do. They kind of varies and it can change at any minute. I think the last time we were supposed to meet, I had to take a patient to surgery emergently, kind of late night, for some weakness that he had in his legs, which, he had some spinal cord compression. But my days, I usually start off pretty early. I get up at usually at 4:44 every day. And the reason why I chose that kind of time is because number one, it's different. I wanted something that would push me and motivate me to kind of get up and start my day. I get a lot accomplished kind of early, first thing in the morning. I usually get a workout in, usually around 5 or so in the morning. And then I'll head to the office to see patients in office. That can range from 15 to 25, 30 plus patients. And then if I'm in the operating room doing surgeries, that usually starts at 7 a.m. and that can range from 1 to 3 surgeries per day. And intermixed with various meetings, interviews, and yeah. So that's how my days usually go. And especially as a surgeon, I can get called at any time. So any of my patients I did surgery on, just did one yesterday. She can call me with some questions in the middle of the night. And I have to be available to pick up that phone call. So different emergency rooms or urgent care centers, they may call me. Sometimes I'll get a call from one of them at 2 o'clock in the morning, and have to answer that call. But yeah, it can be quite variable. But like you said, private practice, I can kind of dictate my schedule at this point, given that I'm done with my training. And if I wanted to take off tomorrow, I can certainly do that.
Okay. So when it comes to, so you're perpetually on call unless you decide to take your day off, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a struggle bus, but I'm very happy for you that you are able to do that. That sounds difficult.
Yeah, very difficult. Especially as a surgeon, I have to, I plan for my surgery. So sometimes it'll take a week or 2 weeks. I have a surgery coming up on February 1st, and I'm already thinking about the steps of the surgery. I'm thinking about, what implants I need, what hardware, where I'm going to do the surgery, what positioning, how I'm going to position the patient in surgery. So constantly going over things that I need to do. And it's just one of the, I would say, downsides. You're constantly on. You're off, but you're never really off.
Right.
That was kind of seen when we're supposed to do that last interview. I was at home, and I was actually in office, and I got a call from the ER about that patient, so I had to take him to surgery right away.
Okay, and you said he had compression disc.
Yeah, he had spinal cord compression.
So what would you say the name of that surgery is?
It's called a decompression. Essentially, go in and remove the bone and whatever's compressing the spinal cord with very carefully and with special instruments in surgery.
The bone. So is that like removing a vertebrae, or is that a different bone that's compressed?
Yeah, a part of the vertebrae. So the back portion is called the lamina. This the part that presses on the spinal cord. So I use a drill and some other instruments, which is pretty close to the spinal cord.
That is tough, especially, yeah, you right by that spinal cord, but you're an amazing physician, I'm sure. So amazing surgeon, I should say, so that he was able to recover or is in recovery.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's doing better.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Congratulations. And so, with all the work that you're doing, how are you giving back to the community? I know right now with a pandemic, it's kind of hard to interact with students and things like that, but is there a way you're able to give back?
Yeah, I give a lot of talks. I actually have about 20 of them lined up in February. I'm doing a virtual kind of school screening tour for my documentary, which I'll allow. I'm picking 20 schools, almost probably 25 or so, to do like a screening of my documentary before it's released, and doing a Q&A and a small talk for them. And this is for during Black History Month, so that's kind of why we chose to release it then. And yeah, we've got a busy month coming up. But mostly a lot of talks, a lot of mentoring, and before COVID, I was traveling a lot. So I would travel to different schools and organizations to talk to different students, mostly kind of disadvantaged communities. That's kind of my passion.
Have you chosen your schools, or what's your criteria for the schools that you're going to talk to?
Yeah, mostly kind of minority. So the HBCUs, they have what's called SNMA, Student National Medical Association. It's just an organization for minority students. So that's kind of my target. And, I have a lot of other organizations that are reaching out to me, and depending on the interests and the makeup of the students, that's how I'm choosing.
Okay, well, I went to an HBCU. It's called Stillman College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I would love from any students there if they were interested. I don't know how would we go about requesting to be a part of it.
Well, you just let me know. If there's enough interest. Enough students that would be interested in doing it. Yeah, certainly. I think I have a few more openings.
I'm under no pressure. I know this is already almost February, so if the answer's no, we have big plans. We can take a no. But I would think I would love to get back to my own HBCU, or at least give my HBCU an opportunity that they might not have gotten
before. Yeah, just send me a message and let me know.
Okay, I would love to. I will check in with the school and see how we can get that going. But so you have a documentary coming out. You have a book, right? Mm-hmm. Is there anything else we need to know about you?
That's about it. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, how can people find you or find more information about you?
Yeah, so all of my social media sites are Antonio Webb MD. My medical website is AntonioWebbMD.com, and my for the documentary, it's OvercomingTheOddsMovie.com.
You said OvercomingTheOddsMovie.com?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's awesome. And I don't want to hold you too long, because I'm from your 100-hour week. I don't want to be the person taking you past whatever, and I know you have a lot on your plate. Is there like a message you would like to give the audience?
Yeah, I would say, use me as motivation. Growing up, I didn't know any Black doctors. I never had saw one, never met one. So, nowadays students can go online and YouTube and, see someone who looks like them and talks like them and who's in these very prestigious fields. And that's what I try to feature and showcase on my channel. Minority physicians, female and minority physicians who are in very prestigious fields, so that it can inspire someone who may not think it's possible otherwise. So, but I always tell students that if I can do it, they can also, and just use me as inspiration.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I hope to stay in contact with you and let my my alma mater know about your upcoming movie and your upcoming documentary, I should say. next month. So I'm so blessed to finally get a chance to speak to you, and thankful for you taking the time to talk with me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on your show today.
Awesome. I hope you have a good evening, and don't get mad when you get bombarded by emails or whatever from me.
Bring them on. I'm ready for you.
All right. Good night. Thank you, everyone, for joining us with In the Know with Kat Bobino and my extra special guest, Dr. Antonio Webb. I hope that you got some good information from that tonight. He sounds like an amazing person, so inspirational. I'm going to stay his friend so that Carter has a mentor when he grows up, because I'm all about mentorship, if you haven't noticed that already. And I'm definitely going to hit my school up about, seeing his documentary, being a part of the Q&A. So I hope that you guys are having a wonderful evening this Wednesday, this awesome Wednesday, I will say, with the inauguration, with getting a chance to do my podcast, and even with Carter getting his shot and him not being able to be my co-host. But make sure you join us next Wednesday, and I hope you have a good night.